Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision presents Elements of Horror. My name is Sean.
I am Anthony the Abomination.
I'm John.
I'm Missy.
Tomahawk. Oh, sorry. I don't know my alphabet.
It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go for it, Ray. I'm just going to blow my head off.
I'm Ray.
And I'm fucking dumb. I'm Tori. Hey.
John, you had your Venus flytrap voice going on there. You're like, I'm John.
Dude, I've been sick like most of this fucking week, and it's been
Oh, really?
pretty gnarly. So that'll probably be why.
Well, it's adding some gravitas. Not that you need it. I'm just saying there was a little bit extra. There was some extra on top, so it was kind of cool. This turned into a weird innuendo thing. Let's back out of that and just go to the movie. Anyway, yeah, welcome to Elements of Horror.
Yeah.
Tori, tonight's pick is yours. Tell us the movie. Tell us about it. Tell us about why you chose it, and yeah, all that good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a movie I've been a fan of for a really long time. And unfortunately, I don't think it gets talked about enough. 2015's Bone Tomahawk, directed by Mr. S. Craig Zahler. I'm so sorry. Who also directed and wrote Dragged Across Concrete, Brawl in Cell Block 99. But yeah, pretty much I watched this as kind of like a blind pick, fell in love with it, and I've just been trying to get as many people to watch it as possible. I'm not the biggest fan of Westerns. Nothing wrong with them. It's just I think my dad ruined them for me. But this one is great. And I've been wanting to share this movie with you guys for such a long time, so I'm so excited. Star-studded cast, beautiful movie on a tiny freaking budget.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm really excited to share this with you guys.
I had never seen this. I remember when it came out, and I remember it had a reputation, right, for the scene that's in it. Great cast, and it's just something that had, stuck to the peripheral. And I'm so glad that I finally watched it because I fucking loved this movie. I loved it. It so reminds me of Deadwood westerns. I love Deadwood. I really like the old Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns because I grew up watching them with my dad. But man, this is just I loved this. Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, Richard Jenkins, Matthew Fox.
Matthew fucking Fox.
I did not recognize him. I had to look it up. I was like, I know that voice. I was so shocked because, I mean, nothing against him, but he was Jack on Lost. So, I mean, it just.
I think he had a big gap too at that point.
He
so
did.
It was
well,
really
because
nice.
he was Jack on Lost. That's why, right? And you know,
Five.
But he was awesome. Everybody in it is awesome. Lily Simmons.
Evan Young and Heat from Empty Man is in it, and Night House.
Ah. Oh my God.
David Arquette, Sid Haig. Wait, James Tolkien, Fred Melamed, Zane McLaren, Michael Paré, Sean Young is in this motherfucking movie.
Is she the mayor's wife?
Yeah.
She's the mayor's wife, yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
In a tiny, tiny cameo, but that's Sean Young, all right.
I could not believe it.
This cast is stacked, you guys. It's so
Yeah, it is.
Even stacked for 2015.
Ray, had you seen this before?
Yes. I think about fuck, 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
I was on a bit of a tear where I was trying to find different kinds of horror movies. So I got through this and The Wind and The Burrs all about the same time.
Nice.
That's another good one if you haven't seen it. Well, we've talked about The Wind before, but if you haven't seen The Burrs, that's a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's there's a small contingent of horror westerns out there,
Yeah.
and they're pretty solid and pretty good movies. Um, and they all kind of have, in the same way that this one does, that same like talking about the West and what it was probably really like while still doing a horror movie. And they're pretty good. They're solid. And most of them have really good acting in them.
I mean, this is not a horror movie to me, but and in fact, like
Yeah.
there are definitely elements of horror, but like
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a lot more based on the stuff that I've read and heard about this movie, and it's 99% Western, but that's fine. Like I in no way am I,
Yeah.
denouncing the choice. I whatever. It definitely butts up against the genre and uses some of it. Um, Missy, this is your first time watch?
Yeah.
How
It's
was
been it's been on my radar for a bit, but I always would forget about it because I have a bad habit of bumping things down the list if they're like horror things will jump ahead and
mhm.
then I just forget. Um and so I'm glad that Tori picked it because I'm glad that I finally got around to watching it because it's great. I do like westerns. I also grew up watching Clint Eastwood movies with my dad and loved Deadwood. Um, and I will have to check out the movies that you were mentioning, Ray, because I really haven't seen horror and western blended together. I mean, this felt like a gritty western that just has some brutal, visceral gore, but it's awesome. The cast is stacked. Um, the practical effects are really, really good. Um, I've also heard like it was on my radar because when it came out, friends had talked about it, but when I watched it, it didn't feel as bad as people were making it sound. I mean,
No.
the effects looked cool, but it was a gritty Western with a stacked cast, but it's a really, really good movie. Um, I read online that originally Timothy Oliphant was supposed to play Gruder, which I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Fox was awesome. I love him. I love Oliphant. He would have been great too, but
Peter Skarsgård was also cast, and Jim Broadbent was Chicory, or it was Richard Jenkins. He got replaced by Broadbent, and then he
Mm.
came back.
I'm glad they stuck with Richard
Oh.
Jenkins because I mean I love Richard Jenkins and I thought he was really fucking good.
Yeah.
they were all really good.
And
They were.
who played Dexter's sister?
Oh, what's her name?
Jennifer Carpenter, or is that her
Yeah,
name? She was
yeah.
going to be the wife.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Anthony, this is a
Hey.
first time watch for you.
Yeah, it's first time watch.
Tell me about your experience watching this.
I sat on my couch and I turned it on. And remember the Maxell commercials? You
Yes,
just kind of lean back and then the
Yeah.
wind just starts
Then they have
flowing
you.
at you, and
Oh man.
before you know it, you're like stuck to the wall.
the
Um,
sound of that troglodyte call just
yeah,
like
yeah,
washes over you.
yeah. No, I went into this one kind of with a lower expectation, but I did have I was excited to see it because I'm a big fan of Banshee and Geno Sagers. He plays the boar troglodyte, so the biggest one basically, and Lily Simmons is also one of the stars on Banshee as well. So it's cool to see. I know that show was filming also alongside this film. So they were it's just cool to see that cast in there. So that's kind of how it got on my radar. But last night I was able to sit down and watch it in its entirety. And it was cool. It had a lot of interesting bits in it, a lot of really great dialogue from Richard Jenkins. That guy stole the show. He just chewed the scenery in every bit he was in. Um, I really enjoyed his performance. Everybody else, was good. Kind of felt like Kurt Russell was just channeling something he'd already done. Um, but all in all, it's good storytelling, and for a low budget film, I mean, much like you guys have already said, it's surprising to see how many people and how stacked the cast was for such a small budget. That's pretty cool to see all these folks come together and do something smaller and it was effective. I'm not a big fan of Rumble and Cell Block 99 and so again like the expectation was just a kind of a bit wonky. But all in all, I enjoy it. I dug it. It's got I think it's got everything I needed in the moments that they came about. So yeah,
Okay.
I didn't hate this film. Put it
Okay.
that way. I didn't hate it. In fact, I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it. Yeah.
John, how was your
Mm.
viewing? Had you seen this before?
Oh yeah.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
talk about this movie.
Yeah, I think the subtitle for this film should be When Genres Betray You,
Hmm.
because, I always feel that some of the best horror films are ones that don't look like horror films at all until it's too late.
Hmm.
And this film, it's it's a Western, as you pointed out, it's a Western until like 90% Western until it very much is not.
Hmm.
It's like, and by Western, I'm not talking about like some like revisionist Western like Jim
No.
Jarmusch's Dead Man or like spaghetti Western. I'm talking about like classic Western
Yeah.
trope after trope after trope, everything. The only thing this film was lacking was one of those Howard Hawks, all male choirs on the soundtrack. Everything that you could possibly want in a classic Western that probably bugged the hell out of Tori is in this,
It's
until
just John Wayne. I just hate John Wayne. That's
I'm
all. Sorry.
I'm there. No, 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 Tor, I'm there with you, but and then it just quietly slides into horror just without announcing itself. And that betrayal right there is part of what makes this film so upsetting and fun at the same time. Like Anthony, it's not a film that I loved. Even this probably is my second time, not my second or third time watching this film. I have no desire to go out and like and buy any physical media form of this, and I'm probably not going to rush to see it again. But yeah, I liked it more the second time around because even though I knew what was going to happen, the terror just arrives. You don't brace yourself for it. It arrives and the slow buildup just becomes a weapon. A swift slash to the balls.
Well said. I'm curious. So, for the listeners, you do a podcast with two other professors of film history called Moving Histories.
Yeah.
So that's like your acumen, right? So
Mm.
I was reading a little bit about this film because I was curious, like, okay, what is this based on? Like, is this based on? Did somebody take a sci-fi horror movie and skin it and make it a western, or did somebody just take a western? Like I've heard people for years say it's searchers with like with
Oh yeah.
a
Oh yeah,
horror
yeah.
movie stuff into it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, like the whole like somebody gets kidnapped by,
yeah,
the savages, quote
yeah.
unquote. And we're gonna go on a journey, until, like to the ends of the earth, as as Ethan Embry, played by the aforementioned John Wayne says. And it's like it's all about the journey. And it totally sets you up for, thinking that that's what you're in for.
Well, I'm curious, historically speaking. So one of the things I read that I quite liked was the suggestion that so the troglodytes are not based on any historic tribe, but there was some. I didn't find an actual quote from the writer director, but some film critic, I don't remember who said this, but it's really more the idea of taking the embellished other of the Native Americans and turning it into the monster that these people actually thought that they were, right? And I
Yeah.
really like that because that makes a lot of sense. But like historically speaking, how do you feel about that as like a read, or do you have a better read, or?
Yeah, I mean, if I have difficult time wrapping my head around this film as a historical film, or what my podcasting partner Kim describes as a moving history,
Hmm.
because this it's just not there. I mean, it's like it on the one hand, you could just sort of argue that, like, if we're keeping this sort of grounded in reality, they just sort of plucked inspiration to from tribes that
Sawney
probably,
bean.
what's that?
It's Sawney bean. It's totally the Sawney bean.
Yeah,
I don't know what they explain that.
Sawney bean was a legend in Ireland, England.
yeah.
And it was pretty much about a cannibal family that lived in the hills, and they would kidnap people and eat
Hmm.
them. And
Yeah.
it's a whole family that lived in these caves, and they killed hundreds of people over the years. And like
Mm.
Jack Ketchum was really inspired by them when he did his uh, off-season book series.
Yeah, that just sort of sounds like it's like the truth. It's like that kind of story married with, legends from, the Philippines and Papua New Guinea and like the North Sentinel Island people
Oh, yeah.
who, yeah, you use people who then Indian government like won't allow people to go to that island still to this very day for that reason. Um, but your reading of it, as like, this is because there are plenty of historical films, that use, horror, uh, the language of horror cinema, and then like horror cinema, like such as what Robert Eggers does, where that borrows the language of historical cinema.
Hmm.
That really kind of does this, where like the horror is like kind of a stand-in, or like where it's societal fears materialized, or what Stephen King refers to as national pressure points, being dramatized. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think your reading of, the troglodytes being, this sort of pumped up, kind of exaggerated, image of what people thought, like Native American tribes were back then, I think it's a good reading. I think there's a lot more to it. I mean, I kind of like how, just on that note, the troglodytes, they're not really explained.
Yeah.
They don't dump this lore on
Yeah.
you,
I love that
or
they don't.
Me
backstory,
too.
or some kind of moral framing of it all. It's just like, hey, okay, we're gonna go rescue, somebody, a la Natalie Wood and the Searchers. Oh, we're fucked.
Yeah.
It might have something to do too. I mean, at that time, we were still going west, right? They're talking about, well, we have a surveillance map, but we don't have much more. I think
Right.
part
Yeah,
of it too is like the fear of we're the society that's moving ahead into the future and technology. And oh
yeah.
shit, now we're coming in contact with these people that are totally stuck in this Neanderthal like mentality. And it's these clashing of these two ideals.
I
Well,
like that.
I think your reading is kind of better, Tori, and maybe I would also, if I were to piggyback on it, I would also sort of link it to like with looking at the natural landscape,
Mm-hmm.
and just sort of how usually the empty natural landscape, is like this sublime force in like the classic westerns, like Monument Valley and The Searchers and countless other films. But here it's the emptiness is just fear, and it's just something eerie, and it's like kind of something nature and sort of more of manifest destiny back then, being kind of like similar to like what's going on right now with the environment. And the troglodytes, they kind of just sort of resemble this sort of natural disaster but with boar teeth.
Uh, Anthony, I don't know. So, being that you're kind of the resident predator expert, um, I don't know if you got this. I got such a predator vibe from the boar um, troglodyte. Like I almost feel like there was like a moment of like homage. Did you get anything like that?
Yeah, it seemed like the movie Predators, um, to some degree, how, in ways that they communicate, in ways how they take trophy to some degree.
Oh yeah,
And it just as far as how they communicate mostly, and just act in that feral nature. Um, but yeah, I saw the presence there. I like the body modification that you
Hmm.
see some Yautja do. And I think obviously in this movie it's a lot more extreme. I mean, you have them basically performing tracheotomies on themselves and, inputting like bird throats or something. I
It
can't,
sounded
I
like a
can't.
death whistle.
Yeah, it does sound
yeah.
like that.
That's a crazy sound effect, man. The first time,
Yeah.
because when you hear it at first from a distance, and then when you hear it up close, like, whoa, wow, that's intense.
But also with like, the cloaking technology, they have really good camouflage, in regards to how they, mud their skin to blend into their environments around them. And then again, just like the skull collections that you would see,
Yeah.
in a Predator film, those, majority of like their walls are adorned with those as well. But yeah, I think that was a really cool aspect to the troglodytes. Very, very, very akin to a Yautja hunting tribe.
Did
Definitely.
anybody notice that the burial ground was an
Yes.
homage to Pet Cemetery?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Oh,
Micmac.
really? Oh,
Micmac.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it
Hmm.
look
looks
like
like the
Micmac.
Micmac Indian burial ground.
Oh, no shit. That's funny.
That I caught. The predator thing I didn't, but I totally see it now that you're calling it out.
I mean, I don't think that necessarily the filmmaker was like, I want this to like evoke Predator, but I think there was an influence there, like that I picked up on. But I think what
Well, the
you
burial ground had to be on purpose because it
yeah,
really looks like the Micmac burial ground from Pet Cemetery.
But also how some of them are masks too, you know what I mean? Just because they,
yeah,
they, they wear those skull masks that
Hmm.
of various animals and whatnot. And yeah, even uh boar tusk, it resembles the mandibles from the predator,
yes,
you know
it
what I mean?
does.
So
Yeah.
that's like the big one.
Yeah, the boar silhouette looked a lot like a predator.
Yeah.
I
It's pretty sick.
felt like this was really interesting in that like it kind of starts. It's the opening scene with Sid Haig and David Arquette, which great casting right there. It starts like a western, but like a it's going to be a dark western, right? And then
Hmm.
Hmm.
you get the horror teased, and then it goes back to being a western, and then you get the horror more with the stable boy, right? And then it's so good at being a western that you don't forget, but it like John said, it just it's so adept at being a western that when it slides into full horror, it does so without no ostentation. It's just like, oh shit. And the camouflage. I'm gonna watch it again this weekend. I think I want to show my dad, and Kirsten had been like she a couple times she's like, well, one time she's like, oh, did you see that skull? And I didn't back it up, and then something happened and she's like, I don't think that was a skull. I think that was one of them like hiding in plain sight. And then that got me thinking like, I'll bet there are more than one instances where like they're walking right by them and like just we're not or I wasn't seeing them. So I love that. That's very cool.
That's pretty sick. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't catch it either. She always sees the stuff we miss.
Yeah. Yeah. Ray, having seen this now a couple times, so have you seen the writer director? Have you seen his other stuff? Cell Block 99 and Dragged Across Concrete.
No.
I know they're always at Beyond Fest, and we've never seen them. I've always been curious.
I think they made me watch Dragged Across Concrete in traffic school once.
Aww.
I had avoided that one because I think it's the longest of the three, and it's like 2.5 hours of Mel Gibson, so that's always going to be tough call.
It's Brandy
Oh.
doing the intro to Dragged Across Concrete. No, too far of a
Oh.
joke. No, remember Brandy, the singer? She killed somebody. She dragged somebody.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Boo!
Damn.
I remember.
Real dark, real dark, real dark.
I don't know. When you mentioned Mel Gibson, I just realized probably why I haven't heard it hasn't been on my radar.
You referenced The Wind earlier,
Oh,
and
yes.
so this has come up. This concept, and specifically in relation to that movie, has come up in a couple recent episodes. Where the thing about The Wind, the horror is you're in this big wide open space, and it's terrifying because
Yes.
you're isolated. It's like you should feel
Yeah.
free, but you feel isolated, and this movie, like John brought up, has a similar thing where it's like, and somebody even said, like, you're going to go to the ends of the earth, just using it as like, a term that we use, but like literally for these guys, it really is, especially after they lose their fucking horses. Like, I mean, and for what's his nuts' character, I mean, he's walking on a broken leg on top of it, right? But
Ugh.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
since you brought up The Wind, do you think there's a similar vibe going on between the two movies? You think one does it better than the other, or do you think that's an unfair comparison? Or there's a similar strategy for sure.
I think it makes sense. With this, it feels like okay, with that movie, it feels more like it's nature and like just the loneliness of the human mind, but also like the natural world and the terror involved in it. Whereas this, especially like you have that scene where like they camp down at night and it's that big open space. And before they've been like down by like trees and things like that. Like they have some more natural barriers between them and like what could be coming at them. And in fact, the one night where like he even sets up the barrier, the only thing they end up shooting is like a coyote, if I remember correctly. Um, Whereas that night that they set up, like they not only have the two guys that come up to them that is it Bridger who ends up shooting
Bruder.
him? Bruder, I'm sorry, Bruder, that ends up shooting them, but kind of rightly so, because then they get their horses taken and they get attacked again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I think one of the things this film has a reminder of is that like the reason open spaces are so terrifying, especially in that period, is because literally there's so many people out there that can just come upon you and you have no idea whether they are a friendly or a foe. And like the importance of like, fall out, you show up at somebody's camp before you enter their camp, you go, hey, hi, I'm just walking along and I saw the fire. You don't just come up on people
Right.
because, as we saw at the opening of the film, literally the first few minutes, like you're just camping out, two people come along and they can suddenly be cutting your throat open and like
Yep.
stealing everything you've got. So it's a harsh territory and it's and land, but it's also maximized by the harshness and the darkness of the men that are in it. And you have to be wary and smart to survive.
Yeah. Well said. I'm going to go around the horn with this one, but Missy, do you think Bruder was right to shoot? Oh, I mean, ultimately, we know well, actually, we don't actually know that those two guys that he shoots,
That's true.
I mean,
I
we can
think he was right.
theorize. Yeah. Okay. So let me put it this way. Would you shoot those two guys?
Yes, I think it was the right call.
Expand on that in relation to the situation these guys are in the movie.
You're crossing into wild territory on a rescue mission for people that have been kidnapped by savages. Anybody you don't know is a threat. And they've already lost a lot. I see no reason to trust those guys. I don't think he was wrong.
I don't think he was either. But Anthony, would you have shot those guys?
I think I would have given him the benefit of the doubt, but if the situation turned, then yeah, of course. I mean, it's better them than me, but I think I would have given him the benefit of the doubt at first. I think I'm too trusting in that regard.
John, shoot, no shoot.
No shoot, persuade, get some backup.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. I like that. Tori, shoot, no shoot.
Same thing, no shoot. Figure it out first. I mean, they had more men than the other two. I mean, what's his face was looking for someone else.
Ray?
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I don't know. Just because I feel like the answer of no shoot is logical, but then again, I live in this time period. Whereas they lived, if you're living a time period where literally, unless you can clearly show to somebody like, look, you make the wrong move, I will kill you, and enforce it, then you're putting yourself at risk. It was a rough time. Like, there was a reason why everyone, literally almost everybody, is carrying a gun on their hip.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes sense. It makes sense to be extra cautious, and maybe if you don't shoot them, you tie them up, or maybe at least wound them so that they can't be a threat to you later on. Just,
Well, then you
I
got to
don't know,
carry him with you, or leave him behind. But then it's
or
almost
leave them
crueler.
behind.
That's almost cruel. I agree with Missy. I would. I mean, the backup is a very interesting point, but then you've got guys that you're like, are they really my backup, or when the chips are
Hmm.
down, are they going to fucking fuck me over, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
the reason I ask this is like,
Hard to say.
okay, do we all agree that these, I love the scene where like Kurt Russell's basically like points to Patrick Wilson. He's like, he and I don't have a choice, right? Because it's Patrick
Hmm.
Wilson's wife and it's the sheriff's duty.
Right.
And not every sheriff is going to do that either, right? But so we don't have
Yeah.
a choice, but I'm not telling anybody else we got to go, right? So that right away tells you, well, I think Bruder seems like a stand-up guy, but he also seems like he just wants to kill Native Americans, right?
Well, Bruder even said, I have the most experience with it.
Yes.
I'm not trying to
Hmm.
brag.
116 or whatever it
Yeah.
was. Not all men. I mean, he seems like a stand-up guy to his fellows. Not. I mean, he's obviously a sociopath when it comes to anybody that's not doesn't look like him. But as far as like having him on your side, right? And then Chicory, Richard Jenkins is. I mean, his whole world is just following the sheriff around, right? I mean, so.
Yeah.
But I bring this up because all four of them go into this knowing we're probably not coming back. I don't think there's any way that they thought that they were. I mean, so I think, would you say, I feel like that adds an element of horror in just that it's like a doomed thing right from the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know of anything much more horrific than. I mean, and also
Your
the
fate
idea,
already being sealed.
yeah, and then also like knowing that we're going to save this woman, like, so if I'm Patrick Wilson, my wife, and knowing I'm probably going to fail means knowing that I'm going to, like, I don't just lose her, but I let her down. I mean, there's just a lot of compounded horrific scenario packed into that that I hadn't even considered really until we started talking. So, anybody care to tell me to go fuck myself, or extrapolate on that, or counter that with a witty repartee?
Oh, it makes sense. I mean, I don't know why it didn't bother me the first time I watched it, but the second time I was watching it, and they're leaving that cave, and they come upon those women, and then they're just like, "Let's get
Oh,
going." That
oh
bothered me
man, yeah,
because
shoot him in the
from
head.
one perspective,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was like, if you kill those two women, then it's genocide on that tribe. But from another perspective, I'm like, that's cruelty to those women.
also,
And
if it's a tribe of,
uh,
I think genocide of that. So it's not genocide because
yes,
it's not a race,
That gene
or,
pool needs a little chlorine, Ray.
or
Let's
maybe it
be
is.
honest.
I
Is it a
guess,
race because
yeah.
it's such a messy, like because it's so inbred? But either way, I don't feel like that's like.
That's the Habsburg dynasty.
That's part of the horror of that movie too, is that like you're going, and then like when you reach that tribe, or if you want to call it a family, then it becomes almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre of like
Yes.
it could have just it's just the story of a bunch of hippies that picked up the wrong hitchhiker and then oh my god, they came upon a family of cannibals. Like they are this weird sect of cannibals, and you're like, ooh, what the hell? Like it's very like that is part of the horror element of like whenever there's cannibalism, like that's where things take a bend towards horror. Like
Yeah.
what's that one I haven't watched it yet, but uh, there's that movie that is about a family and the
Oh, I
father is secretly feeding them people and they don't realize it until later and then they
We
have
Are
to
What We
decide
Are.
whether to
that's
continue.
it.
Yes,
Yes.
the
That's a good one.
tradition. Like that's why it bends into horror. Like whenever you have people consuming other people, that's where it becomes like, oh shit, what? Like
All right.
it becomes horror.
My question to everybody is, in the beginning of the movie, if those two hadn't have messed up the burial site, do you think the native would have attacked them at all at Bright Hall?
Nope. No, because they came in
Nope.
to get him,
No.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They were
Yep.
following him.
Good job. Good job. Way to
Good
go,
job,
Arquette.
David
So
Arquette.
so it's totally those two guys' fault. It really is.
And because they got scared and started heading the wrong way into the valley. Dang. Dang.
Well, and it's interesting because it's so after I don't know how far they come on horse. Is it a day or two? And then once the horses are gone, they're like, we've still got a 2-day walk. So that tribe followed that motherfucker for days, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's dedication.
Yeah. I mean, what else do they have to do? It's like, well, I've already filed my boar tusks for the day, and
You could learn how to play Freebird on that stoma. That'd be cool.
Oh my god, that would have been amazing.
Play it like Power
uh,
Rangers.
what else?
Well, $1.8 million. That's how much this movie was made. $1.8 million in 2015.
You know what that means? That means everybody in it, like they might have worked for fucking scale. Like, I mean, there's no way anybody had their regular payday here.
And they filmed that movie in 21 days.
Wow.
And I do love that
Wow.
they picked Kurt Russell because and the fact that they intentionally relied on people's familiarity with Tombstone and love of Tombstone to,
Mm-hmm.
as a way to lure you in and then pull the rug out from under you.
Yeah.
I forgot he was
Yeah.
in Tombstone.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's and probably Ghost directed that film.
Interesting.
Aw.
I like that they spent, a fair amount of time on practical effects. There are not that I saw, I don't think I saw any digital effects. Everything looked clean and rubbery. I appreciated that about the film. When they come across, the stable hand's body in the morning, there's a, fresh pile of guts there on the floor. The
Mm-hmm.
way that kid gets dispatched is pretty interesting as well. When you see Kurt Russell, when they open up that big flap of rubber on his chest, it looks great, and it's
It
still,
does.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very, very unnerving.
Yeah, and it's even more so as they leave him in the cave and he's just holding the rifle,
Right,
slowly
right.
dying, and it's just still sitting there. And I just kept sitting. I didn't realize it, but this second time I'm watching it, and I'm like looking, I'm like willing one of them. I'm willing Chicory. I'm like, please just pull it out of his fucking stomach before you leave. But he just leaves it there, and it's crazy. I'm like, oh my god.
There's that
So
great line
nuts.
between them too at that moment as well when
Oh.
he tells Chicory, he's like, tell
Mhm.
my wife, goodbye, and I'll say hello to yours. Like that's just a fucking
Oh,
killer line.
Yeah, that got me.
that's such a
Oh
good
yeah.
line. That's such a
Very,
good
very good line.
line.
There's some bits in here that are extremely well written. I'll give it that. aside from a few pacing issues here and there, I do think that like the banter between, you know, the lot is very witty. I did appreciate that about the film. I was watching it with Cecilia last night, and you know, I'm snickering at a couple of things. She's like, "Is this a horror movie?" Is it? I go, "It's coming. It just, you know, give it time." But yeah, overall, good viewing experience. And again, like I appreciate what you're able to do on such a, you know, minor budget, especially when you get to throw in practical effects like that. That will always dazzle me no matter what. It could be made out of
Mhm.
fucking paper mache, and as long as it's in there, you know, I'm happy because there's, you know,
Hmm.
some artistry happening there. So yeah,
Right.
there's a lot to appreciate about the film. You know, it's pretty fucking cool.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Missy?
Um, I dug it. I didn't like. I don't have a lot of deep thoughts about it. It was a cool Western that, I mean, until it wasn't, and then it turned into a pretty badass horror movie. The effects are good. I appreciate that they don't hold back on the gore. And it's always nice to see Kurt Russell. He's always cool. I enjoyed it. I'd recommend it, but I mean, I like hearing what you guys were saying about it. I'm getting more insight on it. For me, it was just a pretty solid watch, but it didn't hit me in a deep way. It was just a
Okay.
cool Western with a badass cast.
I have a question. Considering that Anthony, you watched it with Cecilia, and Sean, you saw it with your lady, with Kirsten. And like she's not well, I know she watches horror, but I don't think she's quite into horror like the way we are. Anthony
Kirsten
and
loved it. Like she
how did
absolutely
they
fucking loved it.
how did she react to that like when it went into the horror area? And Anthony, the same question for you. Like how did they both kind of handle like that sharp turn and then suddenly they're like, "Oh shit." Like did she feel like, "Oh my god, this is a horror movie?"
I think that as the horror is introduced to, is also very well mixed with action, and I think that's where
Hmm.
Cecilia is like, okay, I can get into this because you got the shootouts going on and people jumping out everywhere, and you know, it. I think that was effective for her, and I think that's what was able to like keep hold her attention. You know what I mean? But I mean, obviously, there's you know the gore kicks in there, and she's just kind of like, you know, it's gross to look at, obviously, but
Yeah, it is.
I think she was just more along the lines of like, please just don't give me another blank or vague ending. Like, is there a happy ending or isn't there?
Well, in a way it's a vague ending because
Hmm.
I don't know,
Yeah.
could those three actually make it 4 or 5 days back alive with no supplies?
Well, I mean, they're no longer being hunted, at least by the
That's true.
troglodytes.
That's
So,
true.
and they were, you know, they had a route marked already for him, you know, with the 4 stones. So they have a way back. And every time they left from one of those areas, there was always like a pond or a pool of water that they were able to get to. I don't know how
You only
scarce
need
food
water.
is out there. Yeah. But I think I had high hopes that they were able to escape, but they probably did cut Homeboy's leg off.
In the end, yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
they'd have to.
I think it was more vague if Kurt Russell killed anybody else because all you hear is 3 shots. We
Yeah.
don't know exactly how many are left in the family. If
Mhm.
those shots even killed him, maybe he saved a shot for himself.
They should have killed those women. That's in my mind, that is the single most horrific image in the film is them because they have like fucking railroad. It's not railroad ties, but essentially like railroad ties,
Like
like fucking
spikes.
driven into their eyes. That was just absolutely,
Their arms are amputated. Like,
yeah.
I
It was so
Yes.
grotesque.
apparently there's a deleted scene too where it shows like another troglodyte like wiping one of the women after going to the bathroom.
Oh, glad that was left out.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is grotesque. My God.
Oh,
Yeah. It was like, oh, ooh.
John.
Yeah, not much else to say other than yeah,
Okay.
the ending does kind of yeah, it doesn't let you off easy. And yeah, who knows if Kurt Russell actually, killed anybody.
And I think they're really trying to emphasize too, like back then, that world, that was a harsh fucking world. And even if you survived this one thing, well, guess what? You still have this, this, and this.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's Lily Simmons' line? The worst thing about she doesn't say settler times. I forget how she calls it, but the
Oh,
worst
with
thing about
stupid men.
it's
Yeah.
stupid, man.
This film really is about, like masculinity under pressure and just sort of like a lot of the fucked up things that happen as a result. And it
Yeah.
does, and even at the end, it just does not rush to comfort anybody.
No, no, which is nice, right? I'm really glad you picked it. Like I said, it's been one I've been putting off for quite some time, and I mean, I liked it enough where I'm really looking forward to watching the other two movies by this director. And like I said, I'm already planning on watching this again this weekend. So, um,
Woo!
it's currently streaming on Shudder, included with Shudder,
It's on
and
Hulu and Tubi too.
oh, there you go. So. Bone Tomahawk. This is the Horror Vision presents Elements of Horror. My name is Sean.
I am Anthony, the ringleader of the flea circus.
Your flea's got talent, man.
Thank you.
E.T. Flea.
I'm John, the Fleeness Flytrap.
I'm Missy.
I'm Ray.
And I'm Tomahawk Tori.
When incoming high school senior Lisa McCready's boyfriend and classmates are brutally murdered at a party in the woods, the quiet suburban community of Sundown Hills transforms into a paranoid nightmare. Betrayal, corruption, and dark family secrets push Lisa dead center into a burgeoning class war where rival millionaires plot to steal the town's future between reliance on big oil and the incoming age of legalized weed, electric cars, and social conscience. As she struggles for answers, the killings continue, and Lisa finds the world she knew is little more than a lie to placate the masses and keep a satanic 1% in power. From the demented mind of Sean C. Baker, author of Murder Virus, A Collection of Desires, and Volume 4, comes Black Gloves and Broken Hearts, a teenage giallo mystery